In the quiet moments before the world wakes up, there's a place where pain meets peace, where every breath feels like a prayer and grief stands still. We carry the weight of what was and search for meaning in the smallest things. And sometimes all it takes is one moment to remind us we're still here, still healing.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. You guys know who it is. This is Tony Lynch. I'm the host of this podcast. And yes, we are your number one podcast to bring you stories around death, dying, and grief, all the messiness that comes in between with some amazing people out here changing people's lives one heartbeat at a time. Now, before I bring on my next guest, I would like to say, if this is your first time tuning in, do me a favor, head on over to their YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And most importantly, I have to say one other thing. This is for educational purposes only. Now, without further ado, guys, help me welcome my next guest, Maria, to the show. Maria, hi.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. Ever since you was on the conference, I was like, let's make it happen. And then now here we are. We're making it happen, right? And so
Yep.
Before we get started, introduce yourself to the audience. Tell people who you are, where you're from, and about the work that you do.
I am Maria Carrion. I am the first-time best-selling author of Fighting All Battles into Success, life coach, and speaker. And my coaching program, it entails basically self-education. So bringing about your internal wants and beliefs to life and make those dreams happen through self-education. So pretty much I will be integrating self-help books in the coaching program, basically.
Okay. Now, how did you get into this work?
It all started me writing my book, Fighting All Battles into Success. As a little girl, I came from Puerto Rico at the age of 10 to New York City to live with my biological mother. Mm-hmm. And as a non-speaking English child, I went through a lot of struggles through school. And my mom was a very sick woman and had 4 other children, 3 other boys and 1 girl. Mm-hmm. She had heart issues. So she partnered me with a 21-year-old man so that he can protect me. So instead, this man that was supposed to protect me and care for me, what he did was abuse me physically, emotionally, sexually, made me do horrendous things, and didn't even care if I was pregnant or not. And so when all this COVID thing happened, I decided to write my book. I finally got off this horrendous relationship after having 4 kids. So I was with this man for many years, about probably 10 years altogether. From the age of 13 all the way to I had my last child at 22 and he went to jail at 23. So by self-educating myself, I was able to, after even I had all my kids, he went to jail. So I took my GED. Later on, I decided to go for my associate's degree and my bachelor's degree and got off the welfare system. And of course, 8 years later, he comes looking for me and I was done with him. So basically, I did this by self-educating myself through books. And the worst part of it was accomplishing that GED because, like I said, I knew no English, zero English. So that was very difficult. But with perseverance, insistence, and persistence, I made it happen. So that's how I came about to writing the book. and in the interim help other people and other women of domestic violence and survivors, and to honor those who didn't make it.
And that's a true testament to who you are and the path
Yeah.
that you've been on, right? So, and we'll get to how people can find your book, because you've already given me the information. So anybody out there that want to go check out the book, it is in the YouTube description. So go there, check it out, show your support, and so now, going through all of these things, Maria, what was some of the challenges that you had to endure, right? Because barely speaking English and accomplishing getting your GED, but then moving on from there. Because when we think about the things that's designed to hold us back, how did you use that to persevere and get over those hurdles that was being thrown in your way?
I think that was instilled from my grandmother and my aunt since I was raised in Puerto Rico to the age of 10. They always told me that never believe anything that they tell me, always believe in myself, and they believed that I could do whatever I want. So even though they were not the greatest educational people, they had businesses like stores and bakeries, but never actually went to school for these things. But she believed in me, and by her believing in me, even those who did not believe me, I didn't care. Those who didn't believe me. So one perfect example is my GED. I took the practice test like 10 times and I failed it. And people already were like, of course, how the heck she's gonna finish a GED, pass a GED when she didn't even finish. She only went to the 6th grade and she doesn't even know how to speak English, right? So it was hard for people to doubt me, but at the same time, it pushed me more. You know what I mean? So I think that had to do a lot with it.
Yeah. Now, I want to get on the topic that we're both very familiar with, grief. When did you, because I've had you at the grief conference, how did you integrate that into what you're doing today as well?
Well, I didn't want to put my coaching business as for domestic violence. I didn't want to do that. So basically, the coaching program is for any battles. So you can work through what you want to do if you work from in out. And I think we all need that, and we all go through different battles. So that's why my book is Fighting All Battles into Success. And my coaching title for my coaching program that I'm working on developing, it's Fighting All Battles into Success, the path to self-education and your personal power. Because everyone has a personal power. We might not know what that is, but sometimes we need other people to bring that about us. Because we can't do it ourselves. I was able to discover it myself little by little, but everyone is not the same once again. So I think that if I would have had the help from coaches like you and other people, wonderful people that I know, I would have done this way sooner. But I didn't know how to.
This is true. A lot of the most amazing things that happen in the world, they often happen through accident, right? And what I mean by that, because just like how you figured out how to get to where you are today, a lot of us did the same thing, trying to follow the path. It was like, there's really no blueprint for this. So we had to figure it out, right? And put everything together in order to reach each other, And so, which leads me to my next question. Do you think COVID was a boost in helping you push everything in the right direction?
COVID was partial of it. I would say a little push towards it. But I was already writing that book for years. Okay. One time I wrote the book and it was the little floppy disk. My youngest daughter spilled coffee on it. It was like 50 pages. My daughter's 45 years old right now. and then that left it. I left it at that, and then later I wrote about 4 chapters again, and self-educating myself through books about creative writing. Johnny Morossi, one of the authors that I follow, said your first draft is shitty. You know, you think your first, just because you think you're a great writer, it's shitty. And I'm like, I started reading my book and putting together everything I learned, and I started crying. I'm like, this is shitty. Shitty, it is. So I had to start all over again, because everything I learned about show, don't tell, and don't use passive voice and all these things. So I did it all over again. So self-education, I think it's important, and just in general.
Well, I love the fact that you said that, right? Because when, I remember a time when I first got my word processing degree, we was able to do it on the typewriter. By the time we got our degree, by the time we got our degree, the course was obsolete. It was like, so we just did all of this for no reason, and I was like, how does this work? You know, like it was so crazy, man, because it goes by so fast. And I totally agree with you. Self-education, or in a lot of cases, lived experience as well, right? Lived experience, because it puts something extra into what you're teaching, right? Because you come from a place where you actually had to put in the work and do it. And I think that's just part of the process, part of the journey that you have to go through. But congratulations on getting it out there, for real.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, you was at this year's Global Grief Conference, correct? Uh-oh.
I shared a very egregious moment of my story in the conference. Yes.
Share that story with the audience for those who may not have heard your story.
Okay, so I'm gonna say one of the sections where it was like, I would say the worst, you know. So we went to his mom's house. I was about 6 to 7 months pregnant. We went to my mother's house, to his mother's house to visit my abuser. And she made a comment saying that the baby was a girl. And he disagreed. He said, no, it's not a girl, it's a boy. And of course, me excitedly, I'm like, yeah, I think it's a girl. And he just gave me a hard look. Like, the look he gave me sent chills in my spine. Like, I knew something was going to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen at that moment, but I knew I was in trouble the way he looked at me.
Yeah.
And so we had a great time regardless. And we went back to the house. And as soon as he closed that bedroom door, he struck me. So when he hit me, I fell on the floor. And when I fell on the floor, pregnant, first baby, actually, I was like, please don't hit me, stop, I'm pregnant, my baby. He didn't care, he kept kicking. And at one point, he kicked my stomach, he got to hit my stomach, and I held my stomach, and I was crying and sobbing. And I remember to this day, I urinated on myself. But at that point, I felt comfort. I felt comfort, just and comfortable, just laying in the warm puddle of urine. And he just looked at me, and I was sobbing. He just looked at me and said, "You filthy pig," and just walked away.
Wow.
And that day, it's like I knew I was in trouble the rest of my life. And I was like, how do I get out of this? And it was very hard for me to get out of this situation because I wasn't allowed to use birth control. And many times, of course, when he was out, you know, back in the days, the doctors, you can get that stuff. And but I don't know how somehow this man will always find out when I was taking those birth controls, I will find them, and all I will get is a slap, a beating. Like, that was a no-no. I was not supposed to put that crap in my body, like he mentioned, like he said it was crap, putting crap in my body. So in terms of course, I had 4 kids, and everything was more difficult for me to accomplish because of the 4 kids. And I want to have my kids in a shelter. I want to go to a shelter. But thank God that my mother was always there. Every time he will feel like kicking me out of his apartment with my kids, my mom will pick me up. And of course, he will convince me later again with the sweet words, and I'm never going to do this again. And I promise you, I love you. And it's just a manipulation portion of what they're creating to have you in the palm of their hand, like they say. And once again, I kept going back. If it wasn't because this man went to jail, I probably would have been dead, or I don't know. Who knows?
Wow.
Who knows?
Well, we hear about the stories about this, but we also hear about the horror stories too. So congratulations on getting out of that and becoming the amazing person that you are today. Because
thank you.
I've known so many young women who have gotten into those relationships and been convinced to keep going back, and eventually it doesn't end well. It doesn't end well at all, or sometimes even worse than that. And so when you hear about someone getting out, it makes my heart smile, and it gives me hope for those that are out there, that there's someone like you advocating and coaching and helping these women find better alternatives than being in an abusive relationship. Now, when did you want to start advocating for domestic violence?
It's always something that's always been in the back of my head. And of course, sometimes when you're young, you think things like too big before you actually do anything. And you're young and you're like, I would like to have a shelter with women of domestic violence and children. And that's the way I used to speak. But I got to a point when I wrote the book, in the process of writing my book, actually, I was like, I could help a lot of people. And as I'm writing my book, I'm like, wow, I was only, it's crazy, but it's like I know this. But when I was writing, I was like, oh, wow, I was only 13 years old, 14, at 16, at 18, at 22, I had all these kids. And as I'm writing this, oh, wow, people could really get out of this for real if they really want to, and if they really educate themselves. And it was just like an alert, like a green light, go help kind of thing,
Yeah.
Go, the red light is over. Now this is the green light for you to go and help others, something like that. And I always keep in mind, and when I feel a little bit like, oh my God, this is too much, I'm doing too much now, the full-time job, this, that, I stop and I think about Frank McCourt's quote that says, I might be poor, my shoes might be broken, but my mind is a palace. And just go back to how far I came, because it's not easy having a full-time job and trying to grow a business, and and family, and everything else in between, as you know.
Yeah.
But I always try to keep the positive in front of me, even when that yeah.
Wow. So now, moving forward, what was the healing process like for you? And the reason why I ask, because that's a lot of abuse. That's a lot of mental and physical and emotional trauma. And having the mindset that you have today, it always amazes me some of the steps that we end up having to take, right? Especially when it's something that we want to do, and we have to educate ourselves along the way. So, and I'm speaking from my experience because there wasn't enough books that I could read, right, to fulfill what I was trying to learn. And so, and a lot of it came through a lot of meditation, a lot of working on myself, a lot of change in the way that I looked at life, and a lot of ways that I looked at speaking into life as well, right? All of those different things change, and it's steadily is, there's still things that come about where I've used up this aspect of it, and another aspect comes in where it's going to be more beneficial moving forward. So I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. But yeah, when
Where did I find the healing? I think that
yeah,
I
no,
thought.
you took?
Say that again.
Like, what was some of the steps? What were some of the steps that you took in order to get your mind to where it is today?
Self-control.
Mm,
We have to have self-control, and we have to be mindful of what we do, and we have to make sure that when we are doing certain things, we have to align what we're saying with our actions. And I could say something as silly as, I gotta write some sponsor letters, and instead of doing the sponsor letters, well, let me just look at this YouTube channel. It looks interesting,
mm,
So just be mindful, like, about. I know that was a silly, but you get what I mean, right? Like, try
yeah.
not to gear yourself to another way. Even when they tell you, oh no, you're always studying. Why you always studying? You're always working. Yeah, I am, and that's why I am where I'm at. Like, sometimes people try to tell you what to do in a nice way, and we
Hmm.
want to be nice to them and follow what they want, but it's just keeping that boundary. Yeah, I know, but this is what I gotta do. Um, and I'm not gonna say it happened many times to me, but I grew. That mentality grew. Everything is all about the brain and that plasticity of those habits that we create, right?
It is. And
So
if you don't have healthy habits or a strong, a strong mental attitude going into this thing, you know just as well as I do, man, the bumps in the road would make most people stop.
yes, and I think that when we go through so many battles in our life, because not only I wrote in my book about domestic violence, but I also wrote about like the tragedy of my brother who killed himself in front of me. That was one of the big things that happened in my book. um so it's a book of domestic violence, triumph, pain. It has a mix of everything, and once again, um I healed through writing my book more. I thought that I was healed completely until I started writing my own book, and I cried through my own book as if it's somebody else's book. And if I read my book, it feels like I'm reading somebody else's book. It's
Yeah.
how I wrote it. It feels like you're in there. So it's very showing more than telling. Um Graphic, a little graphic, I will say. But by me writing this book and putting every single step, I realized that I grew more and I healed more, even more. And the only thing that I have not overcome, but I am content with that, is that the tragic of the loss of my brother, because he killed himself in front of me with a gun. For some reason, that's the only thing that I thought I didn't overcome that situation. And I say that because I never shed tears. Like, I might have done that in that time, but I lost my memory for about, I think it was about 2 months of my life. And I came back, But like I could talk about that incident that happened as if it's like if it's nothing big. And it's not like I don't love my brother, but I found out that that's a coping mechanism. So I'm okay with it now. So I think that was part of the healing, and now I'm okay with it. It's my own brain protecting me. So
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a little bit, because you said something. You lost your memory, and as you said it, you was like, "Yeah, it was my own brain protecting me." Do you think a lot of people that have gone through or going through traumatic, abusive relationships, you think their brain will block out the abuse to make it to justify um, them staying?
yes, but not intentionally. They don't do that intentionally, but little by little, these manipulations that these abusers portray on their victims, little
Mhm.
by little, they start playing with your head in a way that you start thinking that you're the problem. But they
Mm,
do this very little by little, until you start questioning your reality. It's called the gaslighting. Then you
yeah,
start questioning yourself. Did I really? Because they sound so like it's true. Like even if they lied about you, oh, you said this, and you know you didn't, but they are so mad and they are acting it so good that you're like, wow, maybe I did said it and I don't remember.
yeah,
But it's all part of the game. So little by little, the women start thinking like it's them,
yeah.
and little by little they stop doing things they like because they want to make them happy. And I'm glad you asking me all of that, because at the end, some point, I would like to talk about the red flags and also some strategies, like 5 and 5 only,
Yeah.
because we could stay here talking about that all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about them. Let's
Yeah.
talk about some red flags and things like that. Come on.
Yeah. So one of the flags is the first one that I will say is the emotional manipulation. So usually they do this like when they go out to dinner for the first couple of times. And this is when they're going to start telling their victim about their problems and how about the past relationships, how the past relationship mistreated them and belittled them, and and they will even shed tears. And and this is the time when you're gonna feel the person is gonna feel sorry for them and be like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I had this happen to me, and this is perfect, because now he's gonna, oh, forget about me, forget all about me now. You told me, I'm so sorry. And they're gonna be like, you told me about yourself. Perfect. Because that's what they want. Now you're gonna tell them who's your best friend, the best friend that is not the good social good friend, even if it's something simple that happened. And you told them about, let's say, your mom abuses you, for example, or your brother, your sister. Start telling him all these things, and that's exactly what he wants. That's exactly what he wants. Because he wants to know who's your friend, where you go to, where you don't go to, what you like, what you don't like, because he's going to change all of that. None of that is going to happen anymore. And then the next one is the one that we mentioned before, the gaslighting. It's undermining your perception. Like, let's say in the last dinner, um, you told them that you were going somewhere and you can't go with him. He's going to say, no, you did not say that. No, you didn't. He's going to start that. He's going to start that already, because you already spilled everything to him. He knows who you are, how to get you. So that's another one. So that's when they're going to start undermining your perception and the reality of things. And then if that doesn't work another time, this is when they're going to start doing the guilt trip. Oh, that's also, You're gonna go with your friends. You'd rather go with your friends than with me. I thought you said this about your friend. See? What you said before is coming. I thought you said this about your friend. Now is everything okay? You'd rather go with her than stay with me. You know, that sort of thing. And then after that, what's gonna happen? He's gonna retrieve a little bit, right? And now the victim is gonna feel some type of way because I'm like, wonder what I did wrong. You know, was it something I said? But not being directly with them, but already, you know. But now that she's feeling like that, he's gonna come right back and give her the love bombing. She was craving that already. So this is when he's gonna come and be lovey-dovey. I'm sorry, but you did tell me that. But you did tell me that, even though it was not true still. And apologize, and then everything is okay. But then something else is gonna come. It's not over. They're gonna play the victimhood, and they're gonna start blaming you for certain things. They will even blame you for being late to work. Yes, even to be late to work, they'll say something like, for thinking about this situation, you had me thinking about this situation. I had to stay home a little bit more because I was stressed out, couldn't even get something crazy like that. Like they come out with the craziest things. So those are the 5 ones that I say that are the main easy one to cap, you know, to see those. Because no person in reality in the first or second dinner are gonna spill everything out about their life like that. Women are more vulnerable when it comes to that, but men usually don't do this. But this is not all about men. There's women who do these same things. But in my case, it was a man. And those are the red flags. And would you like to hear about the strategies, or do you have any questions?
Yeah, I would like to hear about them.
Okay. So strategies. What strategies to have to avoid getting into a toxic relationship or unhealthy relationship, abusive relationship, right? So maintain clear boundaries from the beginning. From the beginning. And that could be something as simple as, I like going out with friends. I'm going to tell you about my experience. When I've been married 17 years. Happily married 17 years. Ups and downs, you know how that works. Working in progress.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm losing my train of thought. Where was I? When I was gonna be together with him, I said, I don't want to marry you straight like that. I would like to live 6 months. These were my boundaries. And he said, okay. I said, honestly, if we think we're a good match, we'll move forward and we'll marry. And, you know, we dated over the phone, and he came to see me. He lived in Virgin Island, whatever. And I told him, I like going out with friends. I like family parties, family get together. I like bowling. I like going out to dinners. I like to have a relationship where they communicate with me. And if it's something that is bothering you, I want you to tell me. Like, I pull all these things little by little, all these boundaries in place. Because guess what? If he's a covert abuser, he's going to run. He's going to run. Boundaries? Yeah. He might not run, though, so be careful.
I love it. I love it.
So with that said, then educate yourself. It's the next one. I encourage everyone to educate themselves on healthy relationships, toxic relationships, sociology, social psychology, anything that has to do with human behavior. Because if we educate ourselves, we would know. Once again, there's a lot of people who don't even know what's a covert abuser. I did a training in a shelter of domestic violence, and they asked me, what is a covert abuser? And I had to explain what was it, which for those who don't know is really an abuser who hides themselves and pretends in front of people that they're not.
Yeah.
Basically, in short, that's what it is. As opposed to the one that's screaming and yelling in front of everybody and they know what's going on. So educating themselves is the second strategy. And the third one is take things slowly. There's no rush. Why rush a relationship? Why get off of one unhealthy, toxic relationship you haven't healed to get into another one? No good. Because if you don't heal, you're not going to be able to make that relationship work. Point blank. There's no way. We have to heal ourselves to be able, because we're going to portray everything negative that we have and that we went through with our previous relationship into this new relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to start seeing things that are not even there. And perfect example is that if you had a toxic relationship, that partner was always or didn't come on time or kept canceling a dinner or family reunion, whatever the case may be. And for some reason, your healthy relationship comes and it's late one time and you're not here, what's going to happen? Oh, he was probably with another one. He's probably cheating on me. But that's only because the person hasn't healed, right? And they're going to be thinking the wrong thing without communicating once again. And seeking external perspective. Use other people's perspective, other people's opinions. What do they think? If you're not sure and you haven't educated yourself, I encourage everyone to ask, do you think this is healthy? And know the difference, emotional intelligence, know the difference between a comment that we sometimes might make, because we probably do it too, and say something like, oh, you don't love me? Okay, fine, leave me. But you're really joking. You're not really that type of person. Mm-hmm. And I can use the perfect example. A friend of mine, I know that person has a relationship that is toxic. And I know she knows that too. And without saying names, he went to a camping trip and was away for the weekend. And when he came, she had plans to go out to my house for dinner, right? And he told her these words: how dare you go to something similar? You're going to go to your friend's house and I just got back from camping. Mm-hmm. And I had to tell her, I'm sorry, but he's an abuser. Like, he's a covert abuser. Like, he should be happy you're going to go out with your friends after you've been the whole weekend home and he's been having a great time camping. You shouldn't feel any type of way. That's a perfect example. Okay. So seeking external, and I told her she didn't seek, but I gave it to her. And after that I said, stop, Maria, because you don't need to be saying anything that they already know. You already said what you had to say, and that was it. I should have not even said nothing, but humans, right? We always do things that we shouldn't, and then we be mindful, be like, next time. And then self-care. The fifth one is self-care. A person who has a strong sense of self-care will prevent anyone from manipulating them. There's no way that if you have self-care and that sense of wanting, of what you want, and an abusive person sees what you want, and that you are very determined, and that you are very self-reliant, self-dependent. Mm-hmm. That's not what they're looking for. That's not what they're looking for. What they're looking for is for a person to be vulnerable and sensitive and caring and giving all the time. That's what they're looking for. So that's all for the 5 strategies.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. That's truly, truly amazing. Now, I only have a couple more questions for you, Maria.
Sure.
And the first one would be, how can people find you?
They can find me through email, carryonmaria619@gmail.com. They can also go to my website at www.mariacarrion.com. They can find me on YouTube. They can find me on Facebook and Instagram, but mainly Facebook. And the YouTube, mainly I use to submit videos that I have done in regards to domestic violence or other interesting topics.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, my second question would be, if Maria had a superpower, what would it be?
What would it be? Energy.
But in abundance, a lot of energy.
A lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy for everything I do. Because I'm a medical assistant working with durable medical equipment all day
Hey, fair
and paperwork
enough.
all day.
I could definitely dig that. Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, my last question would be, if you could leave the audience with something, what would you leave them with?
Put yourself first, second, and third, and then worry about the rest.
I like that.
Put yourself first, second, and third, and then take care of everyone else.
I definitely like that. Now, I want to say thank you for the honor and the privilege of having you on the show, coming up and sharing your journey, your story, the amazing work that you're doing. And what's next for you? What's next?
What's next for me? I'm working on my second book, Fighting All Battles with Fibromyalgia, Hashimoto's, and Hypothyroidism, The Path to Natural Healing. And one of the books is coming up I'm going to be there. It's an anthology book. It's coming up in October 24th. And I also have a speaking competition in Kanagwai, New York in October.
Awesome.
And yeah.
Awesome. With that being said, again, thank you for the opportunity to have you on the show. For everyone else who have been tuning in, if this is your first time tuning in, do me a favor, and you made it this long, head on over to their YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And maybe these conversations aren't for you just yet. And maybe you know somebody that can benefit from these conversations. Do me a favor, share this along with them. And for everyone else, I greatly always appreciate your support of the channel and keep allowing me to keep bringing these amazing stories to you guys. And you guys already know we do one every day. So come back tomorrow for another amazing conversation with some more amazing people out here changing people's lives, one heartbeat at a time. And with that being said, hopefully you guys are making memories, because tomorrow's not promised. We're going to catch you guys in the next one.
Thank you.